Good afternoon to everyone here from Vienna, from the Energy Community Secretariat. My name is Carolina Cegher. I'm senior gas expert here in the Secretariat for a long time and dealing with many gas topics, but methane emissions are one of my, let's say, favorites. Just in recent years, starting to be more and more favorite. So today, let's say we will have presenters from system operators from gas infrastructure Europe. Mr. Bogdan Simion, who is their data analyst, and also from Dr. Bastian Lang, not working in the GIE, but of course being very active in many working groups and preparing documents. Before that, I would like to show to you that we are planning one or two more for before the summer of Methane Mondays. So let's see if we are managed to have it on the 2nd of June and then in July as well, or it's going to be late June and then we break until the autumn. Today's topic is actually very, very popular among European gas industry. That's why we had really a lot of pre-registered people immediately when the title showed up, registration started. No need to go into the details, but still just to remind you, or if somebody is really for the first time looking more into the details in this regulation. So there are several areas of the regulation. So one is really dedicated to oil and gas sector, and we are going to talk about it today. Another block is dedicated to coal sector and what to do with methane emissions in the coal sector. And of course, one big area and really very discussed, especially in last months. So what to do and how to verify methane emissions by natural gas and coal and actually oil products imported to EU. And what is going to be with that part until deadlines are due. And then first briquette in this wall is actually nominating the competent authorities who are going to monitor and deal with methane emissions in the energy sector. So with that one, I will stop share our intro slides, and I would like to invite our two presenters to start with their presentation. I see that Bogdan is here, Bastian is here. So, gentlemen, please take a floor. We have your slides, but I believe that maybe it's easier if you share the slides. No, we have to. So let's see, because I had some technicalities with my slides. So let's see if we are going to manage.
Well, can you hear me at least?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you well. I can see you also well. So
I would prefer to have you sharing my slides because, as you know, I'm broadcasting or I'm joining from the Eurogas event.
yes,
which happened to be today.
Yeah, and we pick up unfortunate day, overlapping, but yeah.
No, but that's a good opportunity for me to say that this event is well attended. I mean, I met person from France, Germany, UK, even it benefits from keynote opening from Dieter Juhl, the commissioner, the director commissioner for energy. So it only shows the importance of the matter and seriousness and the preoccupation of the operators to address that regulation. Because, okay, the regulation is ambitious, we all know that. Europe has set challenging targets. The intention was to set up a perspective that hopefully will be embraced by the others. But in order to have followers on that initiative, we need to prove that the regulation is efficient. We need to prove effectiveness, and we need to show that there is technology, the efforts are worth the results, and this success story can be followed only in those circumstances. If that will work as planned, as described, it's still a question without a certain sure answer yet, because as we mentioned in the past, detection of the leaks and the detection of methane emissions was part of the health and security preoccupation of the operators. However, monitoring, the measurement, and reporting was not a key point of the activity in the gas sector. Leak detection, of course, and repair campaign, those have a long history in the activity, so there is a background where to start improving and get results. But in terms of measuring and reporting, there is a lot of room to improve. A lot of technology emerging, a lot of balancing, coordination, top-down, bottom-up reconciliation to be done. So unfortunately, we are not there yet in terms of having a consensus on what technology is to be used, what are the standards, and what's the right path to proceed in order to effectively implement this regulation. But coming back to what's the regulation about? Yes, published last year. It's already in force. By May, we should have already had theoretically, yeah, there's still a little bit of time, but the first reports should be already submitted. I mean, the ELDAR plans should have been submitted to the competent authority. Unfortunately, if you go to slide 4, Carolina, when we last checked, so the information is on the slide 4. On what we have here, we can move to slide 4. We only had, I think, if I remember correctly, because I cannot see the slide here, I think we only had 11 or 16 authorities out of 27 designated. So although the regulation is in force and it should have been up and running, we still need some. Can we change the slides, Karina, or do I have to do something? Because we should move a little bit in the presentation. Okay. Yeah, I will look on mine on my computer. So as I said,
because it here on this computer runs and everything looks like shared, but doesn't move properly as it should be. So can I then, shall I stop sharing and then maybe to leave Bastian or you to share it?
I cannot because I'm on my laptop.
But Bastian is
okay
in our favor, I would say.
But yeah, coming back to the information. So when we last had that survive on 24th of April, we could only count 11 authorities. Yeah, now we can see it. We could only count 11 authorities, and as I mentioned, in May the ELDAR plans should be submitted to competent authorities, and in August this year, the survey for methane emitting components according to specific survey frequencies have to be performed already. The first survey has to be performed in August. There are some, especially on the ELDAR, because that's the first step in proceeding further with the regulations, since I mentioned these deadlines for submitting the reports and the plans to the designated authorities. European Commission wants to have the implementing act on ELDAR ready as soon as possible. I think their plan is, if I'm not mistaken, their plan is to have it this year. There will be some steps to be taken in order to have that regulation in place. Let me check. Yes, I think that is here. Okay, there will be a consultation period, but that would come following the questionnaire that we will discuss a little bit later. There was also a workshop organized by the European Commission on ELDAR. This workshop was organized by the Commission, as I said, but with the support of relevant service providers. Our feeling after attending this workshop was that the service provider wanted to assure the operators that there is enough technology in place to comply with the regulation, trying to prove that by certain results that they have reached through different pilot projects or some studies that they have performed in specific locations. However, the feedback from our members, at least, was that that persuasion didn't quite reach the audience. In reality, irrespective of how happy the providers were with their results, there is a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot of gaps between the reality and what has been implemented. And the Commission is even more ambitious with their targets. You see here in our presentation an acronym which is MDL, that comes from the minimum detection level that will be used when starting or triggering the ELDAR campaign. And this is a big challenge. Not the definition of it, but the way that it can be measured and can qualify an emission as being part of the ELDAR program. So ELDAR requirements, be it level 1 or level 2. The Commission didn't share properly the slides after that, although they promised. So we couldn't go into details discussions on that particularly with our members, but we put here an extract from the agenda. At least you can see who the technology providers were and what was tackled by them, what was presented. Coming back to the conclusions again, most, if not all, of the presentations were the results of some isolated projects proving existing or potential technology. However, the challenge of large-scale implementing and not to mention the availability of the technology on a large scale, it's still questionable. That was what I've planned to share with you here. As I mentioned, the timing was not perfect, so I will need quickly to rejoin the event where I'm here. But the presentation will be taken over by Bastian, who will go through the questionnaire that we are trying now to finalize in order to share it with our members. The same will be done by Marco Gas and Eurogas, our partners in this quest of tackling methane emission regulation. And yeah, please feel free to address further question on what we have presented here. And looking forward to see you soon. But unfortunately, I will need to leave now. Bastian.
Thank you very much, Bogdan, because this switch between live event and online event, actually with the same focus on methane emissions, in a way prove that how this topic is actually popping up in urgency and in importance and in widespread. Anyhow, thank you very much, and then good luck.
Thank you.
There in Brussels. So, Bastian, please, floor is yours now.
Just describe our main thoughts, right? And then about what our challenges are, what we think about different things. Then I give an example. And later on, I just give the quick answers to the questionnaire we had, because there have been 10 questions and we just sum it up to 10 simple sentences. But here, I just wanted to elaborate a bit on the different topics which are somehow behind the topic of ELDA, right? So, because we all are doing ELDA since ever, right? Because we have to do it also in the past due to the topic of safety, right? We wanted to have a safe operation, and therefore we always took care of the safety in our plants, also on the pipeline and so on. So we did a lot, and we did also a lot of effort to mitigate our emissions and to decide whether we should repair it or not. And we have different technologies already in place. We used them since many, many years. But what we've seen now is that somehow we did not compare the development of new technology versus old technology or different technologies with each other, right? Because we did our things like we did it always and we just used them, but we did not see or compare it to new improving or developing technologies. And this was here somehow a misfortune, because when we could compare, for example, walking on a pipeline with driving with a car, when we have numbers on huge quantities of kilometers, then it would be simple to show, well, they are equal or they are not equal, or where we are good or where we are not that good. Unfortunately, we didn't have that. So we just can rely on information we have, and we try to also put them on paper to show how good or bad we are in different things here. What we see or what we saw is the topic of technology neutrality, because we think that it's very important that not only the best vendor could get a chance that we buy their measurement technology, for example, even when there are already repair thresholds, right? Because when I have to find a leak of 500 ppm, then I must not be able to detect 0.05 whatever ppm or ppb. I think this is not very useful, because then I just minimize the possibility for different technology providers which I could choose. And also what we've seen in the past, I mean, we have used several vendors now to making ELDA for us, and The result is very difficult or very different. Some claim they can detect everything down to, I don't know, 1 ppm. Others just claim, well, we will detect everything to 500 ppms. And then you have to distinguish what is reality, right? And also when you're looking on the pipeline, we did already stuff on the pipeline, on the very pipeline we have everywhere. We flew with a helicopter across it. But the threshold is not possible to detect. So the repair threshold is 7,000 ppm. No, 5,000 ppm, sorry for that. And it was not detectable with these technologies. Right now we see in the questionnaire whether not higher numbers could be made. And this is the right path to choose, because we have to use technology which is there, but it should also be somehow open, that new technology can be used, right? So that there's, of course, a burden how you can approve your technology, but then it should be absolutely open which kind of technology you're using, because we just wanted an open market, wanted to use the technology which fits best to us or which has the least amount of effort for us. And this is what we wanted to choose. And therefore, for us, it's very important that it's widespread, right? It should, of course, be able to reach the detection limits or repair limits of the regulation, but it should not be as tight as possible, right? It should be good enough, but not too good, in our opinion, because it would restrict us when we would choose the most highlighted technology ever. And also, like I stated, what we also have seen is that a lot of vendors claim numbers they cannot reach in reality. And this is also an issue for us, because, I mean, we set up these campaigns and then we could not detect any leaks, and it was told that we would or should detect them. And this is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, the environmental impact is also a topic where we have discussed a lot about, right? I mean, we have already pretty strict repair thresholds in the regulations. So a 500 ppm leak is roughly 8 kilograms, 9 kilograms a year, right? It's 1 gram. This is the estimate. And we already have to repair it. And everything below, we should check and then try to check regularly. But the question is, how deep do we go down, right? Is a leak declared a leak when you just detect something? So is it 5 ppm? Is it 10 ppm? Is it 50? So where did you start to follow up leaks? Because we all know there is this word technically tight, and technically tight is not zero, right? You always have a certain amount of emission, even when it's just ppb. And this is a technical reality. And the question is this really considered a leak, or should we start higher? Because even when we would avoid these kind of leaks, the environmental benefit would almost be zero. And here we need to find the best border, whether we wanted to diminish or abate the high emissions or the low ones, because every leak we are repairing takes effort, takes time, takes resources, and we should focus on the big things first. And I mean, of course, by time, we could go lower with the thresholds, but we should not start as high as possible, because then we have no way to improve. And there are not many ways that we can do that, right? Because the resources are not there, and therefore we would be happy when the numbers would be a bit higher. Yeah, then we need, of course, clear definitions and operational rules. And I think, well, we think that therefore we need the standardization, which will come then from CEN and will be then an implementing act, because detecting is not just detecting. You go there and you measure and you're done. No, you have to do certain things before. And we also have a lot of other stuff to do within the regulation, how we do our documentation and all these things. And we think that this is mandatory to be written down, that we all follow the same path, right? And I mean, in the questionnaire is also written that you should detect the leak directly on the surface. In some cases, this is not even possible, because you cannot come to the surface. So what is the second best option, right? It's not dated. And this is also not what we expected to be done within this questionnaire, because this is then work of the SEN, because we need a standard where it's described what we should do or what we shouldn't. And this is, where we think that the focus must be then on this document, that we now know which technology we are able to use, and then the next step is to develop these standards and then work for the standards and improve these standards. And then I think we are on a good route to minimize leaks or minimize the effort we have with ELDA, but also avoid the biggest amount of methane which is possible for us with the limited resources. Yeah, I think that's it for here. I will have a picture with the measurement location to explain something different on the 2 slides ahead. But now I just wanted to go short on the minimum detection limit, because this is somehow stated already in the questionnaire. But what we've seen with a lot of numbers from the vendors is they claim numbers what their technology is able to detect, but under perfect circumstances, right? In the labor, without any wind, with perfect temperature conditions and whatever. And when you are out in the field, you have wind, you have not the perfect situation there. And then the limit is increasing drastically, right? Because we've seen numbers, for example, from OGI cameras, where they say they can detect the tiniest leak. I have today talked to a colleague. They knew where a 5,000 ppm leak was, and they used the OGI camera directly in front of it, and they had no chance to see it, right? And this is really about what is the minimum detection limit and where it can be used, or is it even possible to use? And this is what we also try to take into account or into consideration when we talk about the numbers from the questionnaire. And here, a picture from Axel Schorello from OGE. This is just an example, right? This is a pipeline within the ground, and they have a hole or a leak. And you see how the concentration is changing by distance. And you could also paint this picture up for above ground, but this is, I think, very interesting just to understand how you can detect the leak or how you can't, and what numbers you will see, right? Because in this example, the wind comes from the left, so where the number 3 is. So when you're on the left-hand side from the leak, you are not able to detect anything, right? You would not be able to see the leak. You would not have any chance to detect it when the wind is just strong enough. On the other hand, when you are directly above the leak and you have a technology which can suck out the gas from the ground, you are able to detect several concentrations. In this case, I have no clue which number it might be, but here most likely something above 1 ppm, and you would detect the leak. And the further you go away, the lower the concentration will become. Meaning, when you are using technologies which use different kind of sensors, like for example the Picaro cars, then you need to detect lower concentrations to find the same leak, right? Because when you would find here on the point 2, 1 ppm, then of course the leak at the ground would be much bigger, right? And this is how it develops, right? The closer you are to the source, the higher the concentration, and the further you are away, the lower the concentration. And this is something which we could not see within the questionnaire, right? Because this was not considered in some cases. And this is very important for us, right? Because this is how we operate, right? You decide what is for us the best technology, and it doesn't make sense for us, for example, on spot 1 to find 0.1 ppm, because there you would find the same leak with 1 ppm, and this is the whole story. And on the other hand, when you're on spot 3, you can have 0.1 ppm and you would detect the leak not at all, right? And this is a kind of complexity which could not be reflected within the questionnaire. So therefore, this is also something where we think that this is better included into a standard than into an implementing act, which is just for the elder equipment, right? This is, yeah, the complexity of this topic. It's not that simple. Yeah, so what we did here, I think you all know the questionnaire. It's roughly 70 pages. We just shrink it down to some bullet points and try to give you short answers to how we understood the questions. And there are also many thanks to Romano, who put them very quickly together, and we then used them here and tried to write answers to it, just to get an idea of what we think about this topic. So the questionnaire was, or question one was about missing leak thresholds for other environments, rivers, lakes, whatever. And I mean, this is difficult because we do not know what environments could be there, right? And also how it will behave. I mean, we have no idea whether the 17 grams for still water is fine or is not fine, because we have not done these kind of checks in the past. So therefore we have no good numbers, or can say, well, it will work or it won't. This needs to be developed in future, because this is, of course, something where we have to see how we can detect leaks there. But I mean, this is also the point with when something is very deep into water. I mean, I've seen a study that the methane is then solved in the water, so therefore you cannot see it above ground. So you have to get somehow down to the seabed, whatever. But there the technology is lacking, right? Because, and you won't spend millions just for one detection. So there we need development of technology, and the question is how far or how fast it will be that we have these technologies to be used. Then the next point, minimum detection limits for above ground components. Here it's ELDA type 2. And yeah, the question is here, this is the OGI camera, and we think that, all right, is it OGI camera? Type 2 is the, no, type 1 is OGI camera. So we wanted to, so the proposal is the 10 gram of an MDL based on measurement uncertainty, and the suggested concentration of 50 ppm for LDA2 surveys is for us fine, because we then have to find the 5, so we are 10 times lower than the leak we have to detect. So the leak we have to repair is 500 ppm. So the statement is we want it to be 10 times lower. That means that in any case, we would detect these leak. And this would give us the possibility to use all devices which are in place already, and we are still able to detect the leak. When we would go lower, it will be possible, of course, because these technologies are here and they are already in use. Nevertheless, is it really necessary to find a leak of 500 ppm? Because this is the threshold since when we should repair a leak, right? So this is just the way how you would approach it. You can, of course, go down to any low number, but what is the benefit of detecting everything, even when you know that there is background noise of, I don't know, 5 ppm or whatever, and also who has done any time such kind of detection will know that even when there is a dead animal or whatever, you will have high concentrations in the air of 300, 500 ppms, and this can happen. So what is the benefit of getting even lower? So therefore, this is the approach. Then the MDL for underground components. So here's the aerial inspection. So the question is, for at least for the apps, for the TSOs, we will fly across our pipelines with helicopters, because otherwise it's very difficult to reach them. Of course, in future, also drones or other technologies might be suitable, but walking or driving with, I don't know, cars, for example, is hardly possible because it's somewhere in the woods or within fields or whatever. So therefore, we use these helicopters, and of course they can detect smaller leaks when they are there, right? But not for certain, because you are some meters away from the leak, and when it's windy or when you have to fly fast or when the ground is a bit wet or whatever, then the risk of not detecting it will be higher. So therefore, we agree with the 100 grams the Commission stated in the questionnaire. Then for the second step, so the idea is that you have a two-step approach. In the first step, you make something like an area detection, see, well, here in this area I have a leak, and then you make a second step. So you try to find the leak directly, so you know exactly where on the pipeline the leak is. Therefore, you would need a lower detection rate because you're very, very close to the surface and you're very close to the leak. And of course, you will also sometimes drill a hole in the ground to directly get a decent number. And there we recommend 0.75 grams per hour. And the 0.1 ppm is very, very low and unrealistic because there is no additional benefit for this very low number, right? So we do not think that this is beneficial, because when we would detect 0.1 ppm, this is almost nothing, right? Like I stated, this could be a dead animal or whatever. So the number is very, very low and not really helpful, even when there's a background noise of, I don't know, 1 to 5 ppm, depending on where you are. Yeah, then minimum detection limits for components situated under the sea level, under the seabed. We have no real support. We are not against the 3.4 gram per hour, because we had not encountered there any technology, or we have not seen it. So we have no proof whether this is good or not. We just saw the number and stated, well, that's a number, but we don't know how possible it really is to see. I think the Commission stated that there is technology out which can detect it, of course, but you somehow have to put the technology down there to detect it. And the question is this possible or not? I don't know. Minimum detection limits for above or below onshore water areas. Yeah, we are supporting the use of the same minimum detection limits for type 1 and type 2 LDAR surveys on onshore below water components, because we think it's suitable. For the first step, detection underground, the thresholds, we support a realistic and practical minimum detection limit and the detection thresholds. We think it doesn't make sense to go too low, like stated several times before, because that would be a lot of false positives, and then we have to sort it out and have to do additional efforts even when there is no real leak or something to repair, right? So therefore, we are not in favor of getting too low with these numbers. Yeah, detection technology, techniques for above ground components. We think that we can only rely on close contact detections, right? Sometimes you're not able to really reach it, and then you need different technologies, right? And there are other technologies which are applicable, laser or ultrasonic devices sometimes, right? So there are other technologies which can be used. So therefore, we wanted the technology openness, and that we have a threshold which needs to be detected, and that should be proven in any case, but it should be open to any technology which is on the market, which can get these numbers, or can prove that these numbers are detectable and under proven conditions, and then we are absolutely fine with that. But when it's narrowed down to one special technology, we are not in favor of. Yeah, detection technologies for underground components. We think that the operator has to choose the right technology for him and not to go after a list and say to, well, this is the priority, then you have this a second best option and this the third, because it really depends on the circumstances, on where you are, under which conditions you are. Nevertheless, of course, the detection method must be in line with the regulation and also has to prove that it's in line with the regulation. But still, the technology openness would be perfect for us. Yeah, then the last question, aerial detection special points. We welcome the consideration of area inspections for type 1 and 2 below ground inspections. So it's fine for us that this is possible. Yeah, I think this is all I can tell here. There's not so much on this topic, I guess. I think this is also the last slide. Yes. Then I would ask, are there any questions or requests or anything else?
Thank you, Bastian, very, very much for really summarizing all these 70 pages of questionnaire. I mean, with issues and putting all this together. And I would really invite everybody, because more than 70 people is in online table. So please don't be shy. You are anyhow mainly from TSOs, from European TSOs. For sure, you have questions to Bastian and anyhow to entire process and what is going on now. So please just raise hand, unmute yourself, and put the question. All seems too shy. or I mean, not too shy or having too many questions to start with it. Then in the meantime, I would actually just like to underline. So now is the process that European Commission is going to prepare implementation act to helping implementation of regulation in a way. So now this questionnaire is out. I believe this has been sent to all companies, or it's still kind of checking and preparing the questionnaire. This is what I missed at the beginning from Bogdan's information.
So Marco Gas has, I think, finalized the document. They will send it to their board, I guess, right now, or it's sent already to the board. They will decide whether it's fine or not. And I think then someone will be sent to the commission. I think the deadline was the 16th. I know that other associations will ask for postponing the deadline a bit, but then also wanted to deliver something. So a lot of associations will answer, and also it's up to every company itself to answer the request from the commission to this questionnaire. I know that also a lot of operators and also vendors will answer this call, right? Because I think this is a very important topic. And like I stated, when you set down the limit or restrict how you do all these things too much, then only certain vendors will have the opportunity to sell their product, right? And this is not in favor of a lot. So therefore, I think a lot will answer the call. So let's see.
Hope also that because now it's the time to react. I mean, I know that the process of forming actually and discussing the regulation was also a long one, and with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of efforts also by companies, by association, to bring this regulation, I mean, in the best shape as possible. At the end, it was not the best shape, I would say. I mean, even following this from the distance, because it's still not mandatory for the contracting parties in the energy community, but nevertheless, at one point it will be. And I really think that now it's the time again to make an effort for actually allowing the better implementation in a way, because deadlines are passing this or will pass or likely will pass. But now is the time really to take effort and to be involved in this responding the question are either like individual companies or of course going through GAE, through Marco Gas, through I mean wherever companies are more involved. And then how do you see the process further on? I mean after.
Yeah, so I think then the Commission will take some time to get through all this information and then make a final decision and then put the implementing act into force, right? I think there can be a veto, but I think just once and that's it, I guess. So therefore, I think this would be then the outcome that the document is there. And we then have to pursue it and work with it, right? And let's see what numbers will be in, how possible it is to use them or not, and then the operators have to decide which vendor they can take and which not, right? And also the technology has to improve, right? I don't know how this will evolve, right? So it's up to the Commission to make the decision and to see. I mean, they will talk also most likely to a lot of vendors, and yeah, then let's see.
And do you expect then similar process for actually other topics? Because this one is now for Eldar.
Yeah, so I mean, for the reporting template, I think there should also be an implementing act. I mean, this has to come, right? Because I mean, right now, I think it's open that we will most likely use the general OGMP document, even when it's not adjusted to the regulation. But this will come. And then we have LDAR, venting and flaring, so the STAND standards, which will be created, and MRV. But this will take time, right? I think that the standards will be ready roughly in 2028 or something like that, right? So then the next implementing acts on these topics will come. I'm not sure which one will be before, but yeah, I think this is right now how it looks like in my opinion.
How do you see, I mean, how it's feeling actually? What will happen with overpassed deadlines and, I mean, starting from competent authority? Now its situation is better because in early spring it was really, I don't know, two competent authorities still.
Yeah, I mean, this
Now
is a very
11, so yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this because I mean we are in touch with our authority, but I mean still they are not really hard working on this topic, right? Because I mean, and also I mean in Germany we have I think almost 1,000 operators, right? So we need an authority to talk to. We need to decide certain things, and we also need then the Commission to make it even in every European country, right? Because I mean, there's also a lot of pressure on the national authorities on this topic to decide things. And I mean, you know that Germany is a federal state, so we have the general one authority, but we also have on federal states, we have also 16 authorities, right? So this is a mess, and I think this will take time. And then also we have to make the reports. The reports then need a certain form, and I think we all know how digital everything is working right now, so this is also to improve. So there is a lot of steps also for the authorities to be done, and also to decide who can make which decision, what do we understand under these points, because I mean I know that some authorities didn't even really understand all the problems within the regulation, right? Because I mean we are the operators, we have seen or we have faced the issues and we have raised them, but we could not get any answers, right? And this is also a way to come, that we find clarification on a lot of points, right? As of now, we are doing it within our feelings. So we think that this is the right way to do these things or to approach these things, but that doesn't mean that all authorities think that this is the right way. And this is where we need clarity that we are on the right way to do these things. And I think these things have to come, but this will take time. I don't know how long. I hoped it would be sooner, right? Because like Bogdan stated, we have already to make a report. So we have to report venting events. We have also to report leaks when they are above, where we cannot repair it then within 12 days. So these are things, or within 30 days, sorry. So these are things where we need somebody to talk to, and then this is not up yet. And then on the other hand, I think since 2026, or the report for 26 needs to be verified. I have not seen any verifier yet, because we also need a document against which you can verify. So this is also to come. So there is a lot of unclear stuff. And you also see, I mean, the event where Bogdan is, the key part of this is about Article 27, right? Importer requirements. I mean, we see that there's also uncertainty, and this needs to be solved. And there is a lot which has to turn out over the next couple of months, or maybe in the worst case years, right? So that we are that we know what is the right way to do things. And then also on the other hand, we will see evolving technologies, better technologies, simpler technologies, because I mean, site level measurement is something which I really like, but as of now, I do not know which technology to choose, right? I wanted just to buy a technology, use it every time, and I'm fine. But as of now, I cannot do it, because I have to check whether it's even possible to use this technology. Can this really work? Do I get the results I need? And this will take time. And like I stated, most likely a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. I mean, journey started, and all companies are in somehow in the same train, or how you call it. Some things we thought that they are pre-packed, but maybe they were wrong things pre-packed. So, and then another equipment should come, or another file of documents or whatever. But journey started, so on the way many things will be clarified, or I don't know, maybe canceled, maybe changed. Let's see. But companies are doing their job. Let's put in that way.
Yeah, so
And then yeah.
Exactly. I think, I mean, I heard a lot of other companies also in Germany working hard on the topic, trying to do their best, trying to find solutions, right? Because it's all up to solutions. And I think this will happen in every country, because we have to live with the regulation now. And I think it's doable somehow, but it's a lot of effort. And I mean, we know that the regulation will be overworked 5 years after it has been published. And then we expect also that H2 will be included. So the next big thing, right? So yeah, it's ongoing, right? It's a process. How is it stated? The way is the goal, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. In any case, thank you very much for taking time and for explaining this in details from GAE point of view, and from Gascade point of view. We had really a lot of participants around. I believe that they will come back to either GAE or Marco Gas, or in bilateral. So please feel free and come back with all questions and issues which you have. From our side, we recorded this webinar. It's going to be on our event page as together with the slides, so you can have a look again and come back maybe again with the questions. As I said at the beginning, we are trying to have 2 more before summer Methane Mondays. So still some promises for presenters on the either 2nd June, or if it's not going to be 2nd, then it's going to be 23rd June. So stay tuned, check our website from time to time, and we have really big database base for sending invitations. So many topics to be discussed, not just regulation, but we are always going around regulation. So what else to do? Because we are all in either European Union, either close and then following this entire legislative framework. So with that, Bastian, thank you very much. Thank to Bogdan as well. And see you in 3 weeks time, month time, and have a all nice sunny days in May.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.